What if the one rule that defined your entire life was the very rule you had to break to save the people you loved? That's exactly the impossible choice facing John Sugar in episode 7 of Sugar Season 2. After spending an entire season trying to outsmart his enemies without becoming one of them, Sugar finally reaches the point where every peaceful option has disappeared. By the end of this episode, a dangerous criminal is dead. 2 innocent lives are saved. But the biggest casualty might be John Sugar himself. Because this isn't just another action-packed episode. It's the moment the entire series changes forever. And trust me, the final 10 minutes completely redefine who John Sugar is. Before we dive into the story, remember that Sugar has never been just another detective series. On the surface, it's a neo-noir mystery filled with missing people, corrupt officials, and dangerous criminals. But underneath all of that is a much deeper story about identity, morality, loneliness, and what happens when someone who has spent years observing humanity starts becoming emotionally attached to it. John Sugar has always believed there was another way. Even when violence seemed like the easiest solution, he refused to cross that line. Episode after episode, we've watched him protect strangers, forgive enemies, and search for peaceful answers where nobody else could see them. Episode 7 asks one devastating question: what happens when peace is no longer possible? And the answer isn't nearly as satisfying as you might expect. The episode opens with one of the most cinematic sequences of the entire season. The camera slowly drifts across an empty desert road. Everything is silent. Pieces of debris are scattered across the landscape. A golf club, broken glass, twisted metal. The aftermath of something violent. Then the camera finally stops on an overturned vehicle. John Sugar crawls out. He's bruised, bleeding, barely able to stand. And then comes a line that changes how we view everything that follows. He tells us he tried. He tried every possible solution. He put everything on the table. But some people only understand violence. It's an incredibly powerful opening because the episode immediately gives away the ending without explaining how we got there. Instead of asking whether Sugar survives, we're asking something much more interesting. What could possibly force a man like John Sugar to say those words? Why has someone who spent 2 seasons avoiding violence finally accepted it? That's the mystery the episode wants us to solve. The story rewinds 2 days. Immediately, we see a very different Sugar. He's exhausted. Not physically, mentally. He's sitting quietly, absent-mindedly drawing the mysterious 4-circle symbol that's been haunting the investigation. It's a subtle detail, but it tells us something important. Even when he's focused on rescuing Danny, another mystery refuses to leave his mind. That's because Sugar is no longer dealing with one case. He's dealing with several. He has to rescue Danny, protect G, figure out what's really behind Fire Sale, understand the meaning of the strange 4 circles, and somewhere in the background, he's still searching for answers about his missing sister. Every one of those problems is pulling him in a different direction. Then Tom offers what seems like the obvious solution. Take everything they know, hand it over to the authorities, let the system deal with Vega. On paper, that sounds reasonable. But Sugar immediately rejects the idea. And this tells us something important about his character. Sugar doesn't simply distrust corrupt people. He distrusts broken systems. Because he understands something many heroes don't. Sometimes following the rules gets innocent people killed. Danny is sitting in jail. Vega controls the situation. One wrong move could turn Danny into collateral damage. Sugar refuses to gamble with someone else's life. Instead, he chooses a much riskier path. With legal options disappearing, Sugar reaches out to someone connected to a life he wanted to leave behind, Sergey. This isn't just another criminal contact. Sergey represents the darker side of Sugar's past, a world built on favors, debt, violence, and unfinished business. Notice something interesting here. Throughout Season 2, Sugar has tried to solve every problem without returning to that world. But now, he's walking straight back into it. Not because he wants to, because he believes he has no choice. And that's one of the episode's biggest themes. Sometimes crossing the line doesn't happen all at once. It happens one desperate decision at a time. Before meeting Sergey, Sugar visits Danny in jail. The scene begins with humor. Danny jokes that he must be Sugar's worst client. Sugar fires back with a joke of his own. For a brief moment, everything feels almost normal. But underneath the laughter, both men know time is running out, and neither of them says what they're really afraid of. Danny isn't worried about himself. He's worried about G. That single detail says everything about his character. Despite everything that's happened between the brothers, Danny still refuses to let G suffer because of him. It's one of the episode's quietest moments, and one of its most powerful. Unfortunately, the conversation ends before Sugar can explain his full plan. Danny is pulled away, Sugar is left standing there with words he'll never get to finish. And in a story built around impossible choices, sometimes what isn't said becomes just as important as what is. At this point, Sugar still believes he can outsmart Vega without spilling blood. But what happens next doesn't just destroy his plan, it changes the entire direction of the season.
Just when Sugar believes he's finally found a peaceful solution, everything falls apart. His meeting with Sergey seems promising at first. It looks like Sugar has found someone powerful enough to force Vega into backing down. For the first time in days, there's a glimmer of hope. But hope doesn't last long. Before anything can change, shocking news arrives. Sergey is dead. Whether it was an accident or something more sinister, the result is the same. Sugar loses his strongest ally in an instant. Even worse, he realizes Sergey was never truly in control. Someone else has been pulling the strings from the shadows. At the same time, another mystery takes center stage. Stanley finally explains the meaning behind the mysterious 4-circle symbol. Instead of a secret organization, it represents a revolutionary technology capable of transforming the Earth's climate. This revelation completely changes the scope of the story. Suddenly, this isn't just about gangsters and corruption anymore. It's about power, technology, and people willing to do anything to control the future. Meanwhile, Sugar spends a quiet evening with Charlotte. On the surface, it's a peaceful break from the chaos, but something feels off. She asks questions about his past, and Sugar opens up about his sister Jen for the first time. It's one of the episode's most emotional moments, but viewers are left wondering, can Charlotte really be trusted, or is she hiding secrets of her own? Just when it seems things can't get any worse, Sugar realizes there is only one option left, and it's the one he spent the entire season trying to avoid. Before resorting to violence, Sugar makes one final attempt to save everyone. He offers Vega a way out, new identities, financial security, a chance to disappear forever with his family. For a brief moment, it seems Vega might actually accept, but pride gets in the way. Vega believes Sugar is too compassionate to become dangerous. That mistake costs him everything. Using careful planning and misdirection, Sugar turns Vega's confidence against him. What appears to be a straightforward exchange quickly becomes an elaborate trap. Then comes the episode's biggest sequence: a lonely desert, an abandoned trailer, an overturned vehicle. The fight that follows isn't glamorous. It's messy, desperate, and painfully realistic. There's no celebration, no heroic speech, only survival. When Sugar finally defeats Vega, the victory feels hollow. Yes, Danny and G are safe, but the man who refused to kill has now crossed a line he believed he never would, and that changes everything. By the end of episode 7, the immediate crisis is over. Danny and G are finally reunited. Vega is gone. But emotionally, Sugar has never been further from peace. The closing scenes show a man trying to convince himself that he had no choice, yet his silence says more than words ever could. This episode isn't really about defeating a villain. It's about the cost of doing the right thing when every option is wrong. The title, What Else Can You Do?, perfectly captures that idea. Was there another path? Or was this outcome inevitable from the very beginning? The episode also leaves several important questions unanswered. Who is really controlling the larger conspiracy? What role does the climate technology play in the bigger story? Can Charlotte truly be trusted? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can John Sugar recover from the choice he made in the desert, or has he permanently become the very person he feared? Those answers are saved for the season finale. Episode 7 isn't just one of the strongest episodes of Sugar Season 2, it's the emotional turning point of the entire series. It blends suspense, character drama, and moral conflict into an unforgettable chapter that leaves viewers desperate to see what happens next.